Hi. We're here today to talk about ICE, which is a new acronym for In Case of an Emergency, right here. And we are with today, my guest will be Mary Kane. And Mary, thank you for joining me for a little talk today. You got a hold of me about talking about our emergency readiness plan, and if we could do a little bit on BCTV and kind of let people know a little bit about what it is that, you know, to be ready for and to be prepared and what we do.
Excellent.
And so, Mary, I'm going to first off introduce you. You are a Justice of the Peace. You also are one of our reps for District 2, I believe, right?
I am indeed.
Okay, very good. Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Daryl. I thought it would be a good idea to just pause for a little bit and take some time for the community to look at what we've done. We've got a great community. We've got excellent emergency management in place. But just to take some time, because we've had some problems here in Vermont.
Oh, yeah.
With northern Vermont with flooding. We've had disastrous weather.
Even down here, we haven't quite got the designation yet, but you
Yeah.
know, we have put in for FEMA funds. So yeah, you're right.
So I thought we could just take a few moments and talk about some little things we can do now in order to prepare.
Well, very good. And in case you want to, I think right now, these books right here are available. You can get them right here at the third floor of the Municipal Center. That is where our emergency response team is officed, on the third floor right here, and John Angel is the program director. And anyway, it's probably a good thing to have one of these around if you're really concerned about what to do, and it gives it's information on the Vermont Emergency Management Agency and what to do in case of an emergency. And like I said, the new acronym is ICE, in case of an emergency. What should you do? And we do a lot of practice here. We do a lot. When I was on the board, I know that we're in the building, the municipal building down in the basement has the command center. And I got to see how that was and operates and stuff, which is pretty neat. So, and we practice this quite a bit.
Yes, as a matter of fact, they just had one recently. John was involved in it, and I wasn't able to talk to him exactly about that, but I know that they had the variety of the school district, the fire department, police department, and emergency medical.
And we do that quite a bit here, which I find, I know a lot of people think it's, whoop, I just lost my, I know people think it's a little crazy sometimes to be practicing this stuff, but in my opinion, by practicing this stuff, it's been really good for Brattleboro itself, especially with our fire department, because they're so involved. We had years ago the dynamite that they found in West B. We had to do an evacuation, and we knew what to do there. We've had flooding, which is like you just mentioned up in the north and stuff, but we've had that down here before, where we've had to do stuff down in the trailer or the mobile home park and housing over there. And
that's right, on Garfield Drive.
That's right. Yes. So all of this that we do see the results. I don't know how much the general public sees, because most people think of this as the big evacuation plan in case we have something wrong with Vermont Yankee. But and that is why we practice it, but it comes in handy for so many other things.
One of the great things that we have is in our school system, they practice. You know, you have a plan. Make a plan. How are you going to pick up your child? What are you going to be doing after an event happens, and to have a plan. But for older people, we don't necessarily have that, and I want to talk a little bit about that.
Okay. What?
I left a pair of glasses here.
Oh, you left your glasses? Boy, I don't think anybody picked them up, Mike.
They're magnetic.
Yeah, I know the pair. I did not see them on the table.
Wait a minute, never mind.
Wow.
Sorry.
Good job. All right. He had them around his head. Wow. Okay, we're going to have to try and get ourselves back on track here on that one.
We're talking about school district,
okay,
old people.
Go to the school. Start again. Go. We'll try and get this in there the best we can.
One of the great things we have in our community is that the school district has a plan in place for individuals and students and buses and that sort of thing, but we don't have it necessarily for the older folks. And I wanted to just take a few moments and talk about that as a possibility.
Well, then go ahead. This is your forum. We're gonna, this will be on TV for a little while, and a lot of the folks that do happen to watch BCTV are the people that would probably be interested in this, because they are the ones that tend to watch us the most.
Sure. Well, in this book, it describes really well about talking to your neighbors and having a plan in place for neighbors to go and talk to individual neighbors, so that you can actually have a plan in place in the event that something happens to you, especially for singles. Individuals who don't have family right in the area. It's an excellent time now to review what you have in place. For instance, you might want to take time now while it's calm and there's nothing going on to review insurance plans. You might want to just call up your insurance agent and say, I'd like to know, in the event of, do I
A flood
have,
or...
it could be any disaster, it could be our fire that we had in town. Am I protected for that? And if I am not, what do I have to do to be? Those are the things that we have talked about a little bit with the emergency management team, and we want to know what is it that we can do for our neighborhoods ourselves to make them better. And that's the best part of it. I know this is not considered necessarily emergency, but in order to have a plan in place for your children or your adult parents, it would be helpful that the neighbor has a phone number, like the ICE, in case of emergency, that they can call. We had an incident in our area where a little boy who was about 6 got on a bus, did his regular route to come home, found out, and when he got home, he didn't have anybody home, and he was standing in the pouring rain. So if that individual's mom had the opportunity to go to the neighbor, it would have been helpful for them to be able to call. Luckily, this little young man had the opportunity to have memorized a telephone number for his mom, but that's not necessarily always going to be the case. And with older people, as we know, it's more important to make sure that we have a number that they can call.
Well, we do have 911 here now, which is a good thing, and that is they're there in case of an emergency, and they can talk you through things, help you. And that's really a good thing. That is one of the reasons why, folks, you're supposed to have a 5-inch number on your house that is a reflectable number, okay? So that emergency personnel can find you. Actually, it's supposed to be 4 inches. Joe just informed me. I should have known that. Actually, I think I went and got a bigger one than I was supposed to. But anyway, you should definitely have them on your homes. It makes it a lot easier for emergency personnel to get to the right house. And during an emergency, every second counts. So please, folks, get out there and put those numbers on your houses. Well, that's a problem here in Brattleboro, believe it or not.
A large problem. I can tell you that I've
Yeah, we do have a $100 fine now if you don't get it done. First, we'll give you a warning, okay? But then you will be getting a fine. Now, they have all sorts of things in this book, which I just picked up mine, the first one just now. I didn't realize they had so many of them. They have planning for power failures, which we have a lot of that here. This is not just for how to get out of Dodge in case there's a nuclear disaster. This is about emergency planning from, we live in Vermont, and a lot of you live out in the boonies a little bit, where if we did have a good snowstorm, you may be stuck for a while.
That's
So,
true.
and this tells you what you should have. It's got all sorts of checklists. It's pretty cool. We got an instruction card for medical devices and how to work them, and who names and numbers, like you were talking about, who you need to call and stuff like that. But if you need to stay at home, do you have the supplies in place that you need? Hardly anybody does.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I have a red
Well,
box.
good. You got your red box. Is
My
that
red
yours?
box.
Is that your home? Is that from home?
This is from home. I have
put it right on the table,
bottle of water,
which is a good idea.
Is enough for at least a little while. They suggest having enough water for
Put this right down over here.
for several days in the event that you have
Which
a
I
problem
do.
with the water.
That I do have.
I also have a
Wow.
radio in the
It's
event.
antique.
I know this is an old one, but it still works. It's a weather radio in the event that you need to have that, and those are available, I think, through the town.
They
Aren't
well,
they? Correct?
not through the town. I think you go to get a alert radio through emergency management. I think it's a yeah, the fire department you'd go see, local fire department.
And of course, I have
Thanks, Joe.
a very large flashlight because you need that, and no
Yep.
matter where
And
you
make sure
are.
your batteries are good. You should also have a set of backup batteries. I don't know if Mary does, but you should.
I don't currently have one in there, but I
And a
I
photo
should.
album. That's great, just in case you get lonely.
This is actually addresses, but one of the things you might want to do is take photos, as we've seen in the Midwest, where their homes were devastated. That would be a particularly helpful thing to do now.
You should also, another thing that people don't think of, and if you're at home, you're probably going to have access to this, but you should also carry a few of the pills that are very much needed for you. Put them in that box that you have too, because you don't know if you might have to leave your home quickly, and it'd be easier to just grab something and put it in the car and off you go.
That's what I
But
like.
prescription drugs and stuff make sure you got those with your emergency supplies too.
And you might want to even have some important information like cash.
Yep.
In the event that you're not able to use a credit card for whatever reason, cash works. And that's something you don't think of. You know, that is one thing that we...
Toilet paper.
Paper would
Well, you
work
never
too.
know, and you can use it for everything. Okay, in case you got to get a fire started or something too, kindling.
Well, that's true
No,
too.
you don't need toilet paper, but you know.
One of the things that I found in my research was that the American Red Cross has a fabulous program, which in the event of a disaster, you can register ahead of time or register online, where it will give information to individuals who are calling in about you. I would have never
Oh,
known
that's
that.
I didn't know that either.
And
And that's probably not a bad idea.
that would be something you could do perhaps ahead of time, so that you would have the opportunity to notify individuals of where you were. I know that reading some of the disaster information that we got recently from the Midwest, I read an article in the New York Times, as a matter of fact, about a couple whose they were in the house when they had the disaster, and their entire kitchen was blown away, and they happened to be in the bathroom. We don't think about this here because that's not something that's common to us, but in other areas it would be rather common to know where to go. And I have been fortunate to live in a variety of areas, California and Georgia and Florida, where they do practice. I actually had to evacuate in Florida, so I had to make the decision on a rather quick basis, what am I going to take? Because I didn't have the red box. I didn't have it together. But after that, I decided I would have to have something. And for instance, pets. You can't take pets with you if you're evacuated. What are you going to do with the pets? That's another area that you should investigate.
Well, I would take mine with me. I wouldn't be allowed probably to go to certain places, but my dog's coming with me no matter what. And if I'm not allowed, then I'm not allowed, but the dog comes with me. And I see they did bring up medicines in here, which was good. They have planning on where to go, the checklist here on what you need, special needs supply, the food and water, and they have it down here, 1 gallon per person per day.
Yep.
And you should have your canned foods, high energy foods, some comfort foods, and some diet foods. And tools, flashlight with extra battery, your radio, a manual can opener, not a bad idea. A ABC type fire extinguisher. Now, let me tell you, I would have never thought about that one. Although I travel with a little one in the car.
Yeah?
I have a little, yeah, they're kind of good
that's
to have, but I wouldn't have even thought of that. And a shut-off wrench to turn off household gas or water if necessary. Huh. Matches in a waterproof container. Now, you know what? That is, I should have known that one because Boy Scouts, that's one of the things they teach you.
Exactly.
Right in there. You know, you dip them in the candle wax and then you don't have to worry about them getting wet.
Oh, I
the
didn't know
matches.
that. No, I didn't know
Oh,
that.
yeah, yeah. First aid kit, if you got one of them handy, that's probably not a bad idea. Sanitation, toilet paper. I'm telling you, that's important stuff.
Because you don't know how long you're going to be gone.
You don't.
Exactly.
And it's just good. I would suggest people actually to pick up one of these books. Just go through it at least to see how you're set up at home, because I can guarantee you, people aren't set up at home.
No, I
Very
don't-
few of us. I'd be shocked
think
if
so.
1 out of 20 had any type of, really, seriously.
I-
I mean, in the wintertime, living in Vermont, and for a lot of us driving the back roads and stuff, you should have certain things in your trunk of the car
And
even.
it goes through that here for
Yeah,
this too.
like a
And
shovel
A
and
shovel is very important. You've heard of individuals getting stuck.
Oh,
and then
I've
not
done
having
it.
any kind of shovel at all, using their hands.
I even
and
put
frostbite.
carpet remnants, pieces of carpet I don't like, are great to get you out of it.
Traction?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent. I
Yeah.
didn't
So
know that.
yeah, that's a good
I
thing to
actually
put
have
in
a
the car.
canoe paddle in the car in the event of. I know that sounds a little
In
silly.
case you end up in the river.
It's a lightweight thing that if you had to use for
No,
a
no,
shovel,
it worked. You could. I'll tell you what, the canoe paddle would work to get rid of the snow.
And I don't have flares in my car, but I do have a tarp,
Yeah.
and I do have this what they talked about.
Well, these things, some of these that they have, you can get the little kit, the fix a flat, the distress flag comes in a little kit.
Yeah.
Your little travel car
Yep.
kit. Keep it right in your car.
And the jumper cables are really important to have,
Mm-hmm.
and to have some way of, for instance, if you do go off the side of the road, some way, a red flag or something, to be able to note.
Yeah.
If
A
you
cell
get out.
phone's not even bad to have.
Cell phones are great.
My camera, yeah, you'd love that one because I just don't own a cell phone, and I won't. But it is a good idea to have one in case of emergency for that reason
they
right
have,
there.
They have, I think it's AAA has it, or
Yeah.
that you can just have for emergencies. That's it. You know, you pay a certain amount, like $10 a month, and it's there in the event of, which is a
Well,
great idea.
One thing I learned in the Boy Scouts is to be prepared. And folks, you should really be prepared. Hopefully, you'll never have to use it. But for Brattleboro, there's been a lot of people that have been evacuated from certain areas of this town. So it's good to have yourself prepared and know the route you need to take in case you got to leave in a hurry. Know and figure, like for instance, if we had a major disaster and we had to leave today, you better know that some of the bridges on I-91 are being,
Repaired.
redone.
Yes, yes.
So you might want to know of an alternative route. I mean, that's all kind of important stuff to know. And believe it or not, it's always in the back of my mind. I mean, I don't have all the stuff, but I'm prepared if I need to be. And I'm even overly prepared. I don't want to get into, but I think our country today is in a little bit of problem. So I've even got more stuff prepared just in case because, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And the way the weather and everything's been these days, who knows? You could be a person that all of a sudden the water's rising fast and you gotta leave.
Exactly.
And you better know which escape routes to take.
And the information that you take with
Yep.
is very important. Pictures are yet another thing that, if you don't have them in a place where you can grab them and go, you're going to lose them. You see them in the papers scattered all over the land in
Geez, and
the
some of
Midwest.
those things they were having, they were finding stuff 200-300 miles away from
Yeah,
folks' homes.
exactly.
I mean, that's unbelievable, which would still happen. But I'm just saying, it's just good to have. Now, do you keep yours? Do you keep yours in the house, or do you keep it in the car, ready to go? I mean,
I have mine in my house, but in the car I have, for instance, I still have sand.
yeah.
I don't know that I'll need it in the in the summer, but I have it there. I have the tarp. I have the jumper cables. I have a first aid kit.
That's all good.
You need to
Yeah.
have some of those things there
Yeah.
in the event
Yeah.
of something like that happening. But we have had the opportunity here in Brattleboro to have a wonderful community gather together for our disasters.
And we do.
help a great deal. I've talked to a few
The
of
communications part alone. Have you ever gone through one of the drills?
No.
You need to do that then.
Yeah.
Try and, when they have one, see if you can be part of a drill. I don't know if they'll let you or not. It's kind of crowded down there, and they only like people to come in that particular area who are going to be there anyway. But there's other places to be because it is kind of neat to watch, and the communications is key. And that's why it's good to practice this stuff. And that is the reason you do practice this stuff, so that it comes to you easily and everything is more of a
Second nature.
reaction and second
Right.
nature. And for our emergency personnel, who do the practicing. Thanks for doing that. You know, the hospital, I'm an employee there, and we do a couple of drills a year on different types of disasters for the hospital.
That's excellent.
Just, you know, it's called the Code White, and we have all sorts of folks come in, and we practice different scenarios. And it is good to know, because times, you know, it changes over the years. So if I don't go through one in 5 years, it may be a different setup now that we do.
Well,
I mean, things change.
And you have a different hospital than 5 years ago.
Well, that's true,
You've
too.
got beautiful new facilities that you can probably utilize that you hadn't
That's
before.
right, we do. We have, and there's a lot more storage. We have an extra area to put people in case of, if we have to, we triage them, and then, you know, some would go here, some go there, some over there. We do have more of an area, but it takes all of us knowing what we're doing and where we're going, and otherwise we'd all be helter-skelter. Nobody would know what the heck they're doing.
Exactly.
This way we know what we're supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
You know, some of us go out and make sure we're the traffic. We make sure the cars get to where they need to go. We got people who will make sure the public, you know, gets to. It's just, it depends on the disaster, and we've had a lot of being next to the interstate. We have disasters, hospital ones. I mean,
Yes.
When like the bus overturned. Well, now all of a sudden you've got 45 people on a bus. Who knows how many injuries? Who knows how many of them are bad? And the hospital goes through. So, you know, the ICE, in case of emergency, it's for all different levels, really.
And we really should commend the individuals who are there, who are amazing in an event like that. And,
Yep.
and being able to draw in from the community to assist or just to handle it right there. I know recently we had at the hospital a large amount of snow during the winter. And just to get the snow plows in and out, to get people in and out of there, they did it quickly and it was easy.
We
But-
had complaints from the neighbors.
Oh.
Because we were doing a lot of it at night.
Oh.
But that's when you got to do it, geez and crow. But they got the beeping thing.
Yeah.
And in the winter, the sound really carries. But you know what? You live next to a hospital. We got to clear it out to get the people there. We have people complain when we have a helicopter land sometimes too. Okay, so you know, and my thing was, whenever I heard somebody do that, I'd go, first off, thank God we got it. Okay. Second, thank God it wasn't anybody you knew. Or hopefully it wasn't anybody you knew. Because that helicopter coming in, if you live nearby, your house does shake, the light comes on if it's at night and stuff. But I'm very thankful that we have that service, because time saves lives.
Exactly. And
So-
if we didn't have it, how many would have been lost?
Well,
because
I
of it?
know of some
Yeah.
that would have been,
Yeah.
without a doubt.
Right.
And so, you know, it's a good thing. But you know what? NIMBY happens everywhere. You know, that's the way it goes. Even right here with in case of an emergency, we probably got people that don't want the route going by their yard. You know? But I mean, it's we are lucky we have a lot of people that are working on this and continue to. We never can say that, you know, it's over. It's at 100%, because we
Right.
can always tweak it and make it better. So anyway,
the
but
more involved you are about your own individual family and setting that up, I think is extremely helpful.
Yep.
And to take the time now, while we are in a wonderful, you know, Vermont summer, to plan ahead, or just take a few moments to say, you know, maybe we should check with our insurance company, or maybe we should have a plan in place, or maybe I should give my neighbor my phone number, and be able to reach out to someone who may be a huge help to you,
Yep.
honestly.
Yep, that's very true. Well, where else can we go on this? Let's see. Be ready for an emergency. It's good to know who might need assistance. You know, we have a lot of elderly people in this community. Of course, in Vermont, we're one of the older states in the country. So we have a lot of elderly people that may need help, may need your help.
Exactly.
Maybe you better be aware of the elderly neighbor down the road or something that may need assistance. You know, I don't know if we end up with the real bad scenario where everybody's just going to be racing like crazy to just get out or whatever. That would be the one where I don't even know if you can really be prepared for that, because that takes a whole different scenario, because people's minds are different. But with what we have in place here for the types of emergency plans and things we have, it is good to know who that elderly person is. I mean, the Brooks House fire, you know, people had to leave there. First off, from all the people I talked to, luckily, people didn't think it was a false alarm.
Yes.
Because they always had alarms going off there, so a lot of times they didn't think it was for real.
Wow.
So that's where you definitely want to make sure that you let the neighbor know, hey, there's smoke, let's go. This is real, you know.
And you know, in the red box, you might want to put a blanket.
Yep.
Because sometimes those events happen in the middle of the night, in the freezing cold, and that
A
will
blanket's
help.
not a bad idea anyway.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in the car. I have those in the car too.
Me
So
too.
it's just a good idea to, you never know. Don't ever think you're not going to, you could get a flat tire on a cold, wintry day. And, you know, you may be there for a while, you know. So it's always good, like I said, to be prepared. Let's see, we got some numbers. Do you got, like, you got John's card right there, right, still?
I do, yep.
Because right here we have John Angel is a program director for the radiological emergency response program. So I don't know how much he has to do with all the other stuff, but their phone number, in case you need it or would want it, would be 802-251-2172, 251-2172, or 251-2157. And that would get you John Angel, and he is with the state of Vermont, the Department of Public Safety, which is located right here at 230 Main Street in Brattleboro. And if you need information on any type of Vermont emergency management, that is the person to get a hold of. Get a hold of John, and they can answer any questions you may have. Well, Mary, you're a person that, I mean, because like I said earlier, you contacted me to do the show, so you are aware of how important it is and what needs to be done. But there's a lot of people out there that just aren't and just take it for granted. What do you say to them, folks? I mean, we got to let them know, you know, you got to, what are you going to say?
Well, I think
Because you got people watching.
I know. This is the time to take the time to really set aside a plan, read this book, or go online and find out
Oh,
about
you
emergency.
can go online, that's right. Do you know how to get a hold of them online?
You have the, well, it's HTTP Dale Vermont Government, which would also
yeah.
give you information about this particular program, which is excellent, really, because it walks you right through what you need. We talked a little bit about pet care, what you need to do in the event that you had to leave your pet. I mean, it just goes through the medicines, the emergency contact, what to expect in the event of. And you don't take, I mean, I wouldn't have if I hadn't seen that Vermont was affected by a variety of emergency challenges this year. I probably wouldn't have taken a little bit more time to research so that I would know who to contact and how to get the contact. So,
And there's a couple of good important numbers on the back of the book too. Of course, the most important one for immediate assistance is 911. But we also have, you can call 211, and that's for questions about health and human service organizations in our community and other resources to help with planning for emergencies. And we also have, you can call 511, and that gives you information on road closures or work or delays and things like that. So those are a couple of the other ones that you can call. That's 911, of course, we know what that's about. 211 for questions about health and human service organizations in the area, planning for emergencies, and then 511 for road closures. Well, Mary, I want to thank you for coming in today. This is a very important subject that people need to have on their radar, and please don't take this lightly. At least get yourself prepared. So we've got about 30 seconds left, Mary. Anything you want to tell folks, and then just say so long.
well, thank you very much, Daryl. This has been a pleasure, and please take this seriously, as this will be helpful to you and your family, as well as your community.
All righty. Again, thank you, Mary. We talked about being ready for an emergency. It's called ICE, in case of an emergency. What do you do? And it's good that you all kind of get to know and tell your kids. You know, when we were little, we did the old practicing on the fire department would come into school and what do you do in case of a fire? And I think we still do a little bit of that. You know, you go low, roll, all that kind of stuff, stay low. It's stuff that, you know, the more you know, the more prepared you are for emergency situations, the better off you'll be. Anyway, we hope you enjoyed the program. I want to thank BCTV for letting me do this. I want to thank Joe. It wouldn't happen without my guy running the stuff in there. He's the guy that makes it all happen. So again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on A Conversation with Me.